Chapter 7. It's more difficult than you think to find ways to occupy the time when you're forced out of your house, for lack of a better term. I wandered the streets of Ponyville aimlessly for the first hour or so, mostly trying to piece together the why of my current homelessness. I mean, I wasn't really homeless, and I live in a town full of ponies who are more than happy to at least be seen helping some pony in need. Zecora hadn't said much after what might have been the scariest 3 words I've ever heard in my whole life, but the general gist was that my house was now basically a hunting ground for, well, me. Apparently, I leave a stench behind me. Well, she didn't say stench. She said something like psychic imprint or whatever, but I was grumpy and fixated on stench. And these things, or stuff, or whatever it was trying to kill both me and a freaking princess, could use it to stalk us, which was why Twilight was in such deep shit. You can't dump that much magic into the world and not attract attention, I suppose. But back to the wandering. I'd been going around in what I assumed to be circles for about an hour before I decided I should probably walk somewhere. So I started thinking about places I could sleep at night for a while until this wore off. If Zecora was right, and I wasn't willing to bet my everything on her being wrong, I couldn't go anywhere I'd spent inordinate amounts of time. So that ruled out the flower shops, Sugar Cube Corner, and a few other places. The library was out, since they'd probably be there looking for Twilight, which should also be true of Derpy's house. Look, I thought about calling up an old flame, but that would probably only be good for one night, even if it would keep me extremely distracted and sleeping really quite brilliantly. Actually, that didn't sound like a bad idea. Rose Luck. It took hearing my whole name to get my attention. I turned around, not really seeing any pony that seemed to be focusing on me. I looked side to side. Same. And the only ponies in front of me were... Rose Luck! What? I shrieked, jumping straight into the air, and landing in the forelegs of Cloud Kicker. She looked at me like I'd grown a new eye. The heck is the matter with you? I've been calling your name for like 3 minutes. I looked at her, then nervously at the ground, which we were slowly approaching, and back. Then I smiled sheepishly. Sorry, it's been a pretty messed up couple of days. Thanks? I added as she let me down. I set myself down on all 4 hooves before looking up at her. I guess I didn't realize how jumpy I was. What's up? Cloudy landed herself next to me, and we started walking. Tabby told me you were in the hospital, and something Twilight Sparkles in the ICU. What the hell happened? I figured some pony was going to ask sometime. Apparently, all of the fighting monsters and running around Equestria and freaking ascending requires a few dozen more trips to the hospital than she was allowing herself. Something about not having a checkup the entire time she's been here finally catching up with her. It felt weird, feeding her the line of bullshit Twilight's friends were telling every pony else, but considering this seemed to be one of those problems that could spread just knowing about it, I wasn't exactly opposed to keeping secrets. Honestly, I just think she's in the ICU instead of a normal room so they can make sure she doesn't just run out and fight a dragon in the middle of the night. I coughed a little as my throat ached, but Cloudy didn't seem to notice. She seemed to believe it, at least. Are you kidding? 4 years and she's never so much as put a thermometer in her mouth? Of course she's gonna pass out at some point. Let me guess. She was doing all the checkups herself, thinking she could handle it? She didn't wait for a response. instead going on a big, huge rant about princessly duties and being totally unsafe, with a lot of, "What was she thinking?" sprinkled in. Finally, she took a breath. "Hey, look, I'm gonna go talk to Rainbow Dash about who wants to take over weather captain duties while she's on the self-imposed break. Again. Make sure to check in with Tavi and Daisy, okay? They were a little freaked out after you passed out the second time." "Will do." I gave her a brief wave as she flew off. Then an idea popped into my head. A bad one. But first I had to find Octavia. Finding Octavia is either the easiest or hardest thing to do in all of Ponyville, depending on the time of day. Either you can hear her practicing, or arguing, or somethinging with her roommate, Vinyl, or she's wandering around town doing Celestia knows what to inspire herself. Fortunately, I wasn't halfway up the private road to their house when I heard what seemed like a pleasant bass solo floating down the drive. It was a rather nice change of pace from the rest of my day, to hear such soothing music as I strode up to Philharmonica's front door. I was even in a pleasant mood when I knocked in tune with the music and waited patiently for her answer. Then Octavia opened the door.
"Rose, where the hell have you been? I went to visit the hospital an hour ago, but they said you'd checked out before that, so I went to your house, and Daisy said you weren't there either. And why the hell did you pass out again?"
I felt like some pony had stood me in a wind tunnel with a bad attitude for about 15 seconds. I straightened everything, and gave Tavi an apologetic look. "I'm sorry. I needed to talk to Zecora and a few others, and just kind of wandered around trying to get my head straight." "And why didn't you visit me in the morning?" I retorted. I wasn't really mad, but making her think I was usually got her to stop being mad at me.
"Well,"
she stammered, looking a bit guilty.
"When you passed out again, of course Daisy and I took you to the hospital, and we stayed for a while, and I dropped by like an hour ago, like I said, but I had a lot of practice to do, and playing music makes me feel better, so I thought, wait, this isn't about me. What the hell happened?"
Damn. Like I said, usually. "Not much," I lied. "Just some exhaustion and throat damage from playing Daisy for a while yesterday. How she still has vocal cords amazes me. They really just kept me overnight for observation and stuff. But listen," I said, trying to lead into what I'm sure was a very bad idea. "There's some thing that's come up with this whole Ditzy Do Twilight Sparkle thing, and I kinda need a few days away from the home for now. The doc says I should take some time off work, which isn't gonna happen if I'm sleeping 5 feet from the shop. Do you know any place I could—"
"Say no more. We'll make up the guest room for you,"
Tabby interjected. "I was thinking more like a hotel you could recommend, or—"
"Psh, please. Like there's any hotels in the backwater town I'd subject my friends to. My roommate? Maybe. But no, I won't hear it. You'll stay with us. Come on, I'll walk you back to your house so you can put a few things together. And besides, have you even seen Daisy after you checked out?"
Rose?" she asked slowly. No."
"Where the heck have you been? I've been worried sick about you. You've been gone all night, and I was about to come see you, but we had a huge order in this morning, and we were short-hooved. Not that I'm blaming you, but you really should have called or something, and you passed out again. I swear, if you don't tell me what's going on right now, I'm going to—"
Daisy, it's okay." I coughed a little for the yelling as my throat throbbed in pain. Just some scratched throat and exhaustion. She took a few deep breaths and switched gears. Oh, yeah, it was like that when I ran through screaming for the first couple of times. There's some deep breathing exercises I can show you, and you really should scream for your diaphragm, not your throat. That's what I do. She rambled on, answering more questions than I knew I had that day. We hadn't even gotten into the house before she'd thrown the door open and ran out barking mad at me. When I walked up to the door, though, I stopped and stared at it for a while. And I realized right then what it meant to have a house stare back at you.